Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello, everybody. False start. Let's not talk about that. What a game. So the Habs, why do I not know this? Was it 6-3? The Habs won, period. And as we all predicted, it was a 3-4 point night for Christian Dvorak, which was always going to be what it was, right? Like that's how we all expected. Um, but hey, a win is a win. I am here joined today not by a Game Over Ottawa host. Unfortunately, they are sick, and I joked with them that it was the K flu because of the Habs, but it's not. They're both sick. Instead, I have my lovely, lovely friend Brendan here. Would you like to go ahead and tell us how did that game go for you? How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. I don't know if that Sens host would like to hear it very much, but yeah, full Habs pod, I guess. So yeah, I feel awesome. That was like the best game I've seen since probably 2021. So
Mhm.
I am so pumped right now. Like that was absurd.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Um, so that was a that was not how I expected that to happen. Let's just put it that way. Just gonna go over everything really quickly. 6-3, I was right. So we started with a Christian Dvorak goal, which should have been a sign of things to come, but we were ridiculous and would not guess, obviously, that it was gonna be a Christian Dvorak night. Like clearly. But it was a and funnily enough, I'm not sure if you saw this, but it was David Savard, assist on that goal, so that's
Yeah, I did
hilarious.
see that. Yeah.
That was followed by, Drake Batherson, who celebrated like it was an overtime winner. Full heartbreaker, the, celly, and I was like, "All right, man, like, it's second goal of the game." But that's fine. Second period was, I thought, not bad for the Habs, but it ended up with them down 2-1 by Michael Amadio. Assist from Travis Hamonic, which he came back later to haunt us too, and it would have sucked if that was how it ended, but it didn't. Sucks to suck. So the second was, second happened. We'll talk about it. But then we had the third, started with the Lane Hutson goal. Uh, that was a Man, that was a goal. That was all him with an assist by Jake Evans, so I'll take it. Then that was followed by a Travis Hamonic goal for 3-2. That was one of those moments where I was like, this cannot be the game-winning goal. Like even if we score another and they score two and we lose, that would have sucked. But that cannot be a Travis Hamonic game-winning goal. Like we can't let that happen. And thankfully it wasn't because guess who? Josh Anderson stepped up, assisted by Alexander Carrier. So, maybe one of the most handsome goals in existence, like pairing wise. I mean, Christian Dvorak's there, but like it's fine. We don't have to touch on that. Then our captain, Nick Suzuki, power play stepping up. He was out there for the entire power play. I think power play 1 and 2. Um, as he's been wanting to do recently. But he scored there with an assist by Gallagher and Heineman, um, who's been, you know, it was a night for them. Then we had the Josh Anderson empty netter goal, uh, which man, he rocks. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. And then there was the Brendan Gallagher empty net, where he went up right against Stützle, and we saw how that went, which is incredibly funny. And that was another Christian Dvorak point. So ultimately, we're looking at um, one, two, three Christian Dvorak. No, four Christian Dvorak points. Um, exactly how we all drew it up, right? We all thought it would be the third line.
Yeah, you gotta know it's the third line. They've actually been playing great lately. It's just like with them and not like the input is there, but the output isn't as far as production. But yeah, they've been a great line all year, and I think just lately they've really stepped it up to a new level as well. And I think all those guys are really like the vets trying to make an impact on the team. And I think the playoffs mean is like, especially you got Galley and Anderson on that line of both were part of that 21 team. So I think they're desperate to get back and be part of a playoff half team again. Like you never know when you're gonna get that chance again. And the guys both love. So it's you
Yeah.
can just see the passion with them. Like every time a game really matters, and you had Galley pounding his chest after that goal, and I absolutely love it. Like just wow, yeah, that was such an emotional game. Like I'm still riding the high from it, and just yeah, that third line, like kind of out of nowhere, is the line that took over, and I think it's kind of been a topic for a while that we've only had one line. So to see, kind of, I think it was all of our lines mostly picking. And I know the fourth line didn't produce that much, but they did their job defensively, and I thought
I
they had a
agree.
few really good chances. So just to see every line kind of step up a little bit more, and it didn't have to be just the top line, but the top line, which we'll talk about later, was fantastic. So like I love to see all of that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, the top line was a little bit quieter than we're used to, but that's fine because the other line stepped up. Um, which if I think about it, the way that like a Habs Sens game goes in general, just like the dirty, down and dirty kind of look, it makes sense why it would be the third line, right? Like it kind of just makes sense, but you never thought about that. Um, I am seeing so many of our regulars and some new folks here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna have a great time, and we're having a great time. Even before we came, we got on camera. We were both just hype about it. Like both of us were just smiling year to year. Because that was a emotional roller coaster. And I'm sure it was an emotional roller coaster for the Habs too. And I'm just proud of them for being able to rise to that moment. I don't think it's a coincidence that in a moment like that, it was the veterans who were able to step up. Um, the veterans on forward were able to step up, and that's really, really important. You need those guys. So I'm just so happy. I don't even know where to start. Is there anything in particular that you would like to just get us started with?
Where what do I start with? Wow. I guess just like thinking about kind of the third period and going into it, I had a thought of just like this is kind of a real measuring stick moment for like this team and what we're going to be, and like are we going to have any success if we do make the playoffs, because this is the type of moment where you need your guys to show up, you need everyone to pull together, and we just dominated that period. Like they get one fluky goal on us, and that was about it. It was like just an awesome start to finish period, in a clutch period where they needed their guys to come through, and obviously starts off with Lane Hutson with an unbelievable shot, like just out of nowhere, a shot like that. Like we
Man.
haven't seen that all year from him, and just for him to just snipe on the Sens, like oh my god, yeah, I'm pumped. I had to settle this started, so
Yeah, I had to do a quick lap around my house, honestly. Um, but let's, Lane Hutson is so special, and you just have special players doing special things. But I think a game like this really shows you why a team being deep is so important, especially as you hope to go into the playoffs. It's Terry M says Josh Anderson is being touted as the next great one. It only took him 60 games to get going. I would disagree with that. Like, I mean, obviously the great one stuff is tongue in cheek, but I would disagree with the fact that it took him 60 games to get going, because I think he's been on. I think he's scoring, which is new, but I think he's been extremely important to this team all throughout the season. He's been such a warrior. We all know he's so hurt right now. Like he is hurt right now.
he almost slices a kill. So
Man, that
there's
was
that.
terrifying.
That was
That was
terrifying.
terrifying.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god, I
God.
saw that and I'm like, I didn't know, like I didn't get to see the shot of Andy on the bench or anything. So I'm like, did he like get up? Like what happened? Like, and I didn't know if any blood. Like, oh my god, like it freaked out for a second, but so happy he's okay because that was bad, very bad.
That could have been really bad. The second like skate related injury. That would have been really bad.
Yeah,
Uh, which speaking of just an interjection, Caden Gooley was skating today. It was an optional skate, and I don't know if he was a full participant, but he was definitely there. And he wasn't in a red jersey, so he was in no contact. Um, and that's something to really look forward to if we're able to cross that, make it to honestly the promised land right now. Like the Habs, just the playoffs themselves are promised land. Um, Audrey says, Andy's like that dude from Game of Thrones that got brought back to life like 8 times. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, like I really don't like the whole, what do you call it, glorifying injuries thing that we do in hockey, or like playing through injuries thing. But you can't help but like admire. I sure hope it's something that's not hurting him long term, and I am gonna I'm gonna do my best to hope that that's the case. Um, but he's clearly in pain. He's clearly recovering, and he's still putting it all on the line for this team. And I think that's what that comes down to, is the fact that he played in the playoffs for the Habs. Even with him not getting to play in a full building, he got some limited, like back in the what was it, the COVID season, where he was I always think of that guy because I can never remember the number, but it was like I I'm gonna not, but there was that guy who's like, that number we're gonna make it feel like 30,000 or something like that, but it wasn't a lot of people, and I'm sure he's
Oh, I know
eager.
you're talking about
You know
now.
exactly what I'm talking about, right? But
Yeah,
I'm sure
I caught
he's
on.
eager to like um, get that full Habs experience. And Brendan Gallagher, apparently, the only guy, on this team who has been in the Bell Center has been on the ice in the Bell Center while the team was in the playoffs, and they want it. They want it so bad. Third line, the third line has been so good, lately, and we've needed it. Frankly, as the second line starts to figure out their identity, or tries to figure out their identity, especially, um, Patty's been in and out of the lineup with his, being with him having the flu. Just clarifying, he was sick, which is why he was out of the lineup, because he cannot be in a situation where he's infecting his teammates. That is being a good teammate, guys. Sorry, just gonna lean all the way back. So with all that, there was a lot of inconsistency on the second line. I feel like the fourth line, um, isn't on the heater that they were before, but they're still doing what a fourth line needs to do. In fact, I'd say still one of the best fourth lines. And the first line has been on fire. Uh, let's just talk a little bit about the third line, because I feel like that's been one of the only lines that's like, in terms of players, been consistent all through the season. I can't think of many times that they've broken up that line. It seems like Marty really likes them. Um,
Yeah, Marty does everything he can not to split up that line, including putting Pizzetta on the second line or something like that. So,
I
yeah,
feel
he
like
doesn't
his
want to split them at all.
priority is the fourth line. Like, I feel like that's the one that he's really like iffy about breaking up. Um,
Mhm.
which I'm not sure if you guys saw, but there was an article by Eric Engels, kind of talking to Kent Hughes, and Kent Hughes was like, "Well, we could go out and get some guys like at the trade deadline that could fill the bottom of the lineup, but I know Marty's not gonna use them." So that one really made me laugh, because it was like, yeah, we all know Marty's got his them. And I'm glad that his guy, Josh Anderson, is now on the third line. Today I thought he was so important. I he was like I feel like even when he wasn't creating, he was creating in the way where he's constantly throwing the body. He was fearless, which again, we know he's on that good stuff. Like we know he's like really on that good stuff. Um, but he's fearless about it. And there were so many times where in my notes I noted that there seemed to be some momentum building the other way, and Andy would throw a big hit and the team would start rolling again. And I don't know about you, but I thought Anderson was the most physically engaged player today.
Yeah, easily. I think he kind of gave Kachuk a run for his money as far as being an impact power forward. But yeah, I don't. This guy just seems to show up when it really matters too. Like he's a clutch player that I don't know, just brings the most out of him when he's playing in games like this, and he's
Mhm.
so engaged. And not that he hasn't been all year because he had thing, and like I just think it's causing so much havoc and it's turning pucks over. And our forecheck is so good for it. Like I'm really happy with the way Anderson's been playing, and I don't think there's much more he could do to make us more happy with him. Like
Mhm.
obviously scoring goals, but that'll come when you play like this, honestly. And
Yeah.
like maybe it's some puck luck, maybe have the most accurate shot in the world, which is underselling it, but he is a guy who can score 20 goals and has in the past. So
Mhm.
like you're getting that on your third line, that's a pretty good player. So
Mhm.
I think he's very, very important to this team, and I'd maybe consider resigning his contract ends, which
Ooh,
is in
that's a
after next
that's a
year, I believe.
bold call.
So
That's a bold take.
I know, but if you can get him a bit discounted, like why not?
I mean,
I guess we'll see. It's
we'll
like
see. It's really I
bottom
feel like
six is gonna fill up. Yeah,
there's things are gonna be so different next year, especially because of the
I
Demidov
know.
factor. Uh, we're gonna have to make decisions kind of based on A, the Demidov factor, and B, whatever Kent Hughes decides to do with the 2C position this summer.
Yeah,
Um,
and more prospects coming up too that will force some players out of those positions. We'll see. It's gonna be a battle.
yeah. Adam777 says earlier in the chat says turning Josh Anderson into a defensive force might be one of the most impressive things St. Louis has accomplished as a coach. Who saw that coming from him?
Right.
Right? Like Marty gets so much shit, and like he deserves some of it. Like, what was that game that we lost in overtime? I think it was the one where Christian Dvorak lost a face off right away. And just
Oh, the Seattle one?
yes, the embarrassing one.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt like that game, Marty got away with not getting as much shit as I think he should have. Because he had some dubious strategies, but whatever, who cares? Like who cares? At this point, who cares? We just won a 4-point game. Like we just won a four
I
point game.
think I think overall what he does, like you're seeing the long-term effects of things he's doing that like I think a lot of us at the start of the season had doubts about the defensive structure. There was tons of question marks about that. And now it seems like everyone's bought into it and our coverage is so much better now. And like I think he just really thinks about long-term structure of the team and he wants these young guys to buy into it. And yeah, maybe there's some situations I think he's pretty stubborn and
Mm,
he has an idea and he wants to see it through and he doesn't give up on it very easy. And
mm.
that's just who he is. Like his not giving up goes into that
Yeah.
decision making as well, where sometimes I want him to try something else. But I also had a problem earlier with the power play that I brought up in my podcast. But he
Your podcast,
he
the
like they we were only moving yes. My podcast would be the Habscast, by the way, guys.
yes,
Follow it.
yes.
It's on Spotify. And follow me on Twitter and on
We'll
Blue Sky
plug
as
all of
well.
that later, but
But
just wanted to, it's a great podcast, so I just want to shout it out.
yeah, yeah, got to shout myself out. And yeah, so basically they were only passing the line, and that seemed to be the only play on the power play. And then you're noticing today there were like 3 set plays off of Ottawa just heavily playing line A, where suddenly now we're playing a 4-on-3 with line A being boxed. Lots of plays to Nick Suzuki on the inside. So I really love seeing that. I think that's an adjustment we need to make, and props to Marty running that. So
Yeah.
yeah, just there's lots of stuff that he does do that doesn't go recognized too. So.
Yeah, I think one of the great things that I recognized, they only had like I think they had 4 power play opportunities, got a power play goal in one of them. I think one of the things I really appreciated was they weren't forcing a feed to Patty. I think there were several times where Cole was the one who shot, where Slav was the one who shot. Like Nick just kind of did his thing where he just out of nowhere hits you with it. But you know, like I like that they were exploring other opportunities and that I think in a 7-game series, that's something that's really good to lean on because what happens when that is consistently something they're doing, guys can start not forgetting that Patrick Line is shot is the way it is, but like they can shift focus and then you can adjust right back, right? Like it's such a simple little thing, but it was something that they weren't doing back when Patty first came back and was having so much success on the power play and teams adjusted. And then it seemed like they were so stubbornly going after it. So, you know, like I just think that we're seeing some really, really good stuff. I'm gonna catch up on some of the chat. Um, I see J Money in there. Bait used to be believable, is all I'll say. I feel like this is the conversation we have every single time. We have Dina in the chat, which hello. We have Blessed Believer. Martin's in there. Terry M. We've got all these lovely people. I did see Zach from Game Over Toronto earlier. Not sure if he's still watching, but hello. You know, it's he pointed out it's 6 out of 7 seems like 6 out of 7 playoff Canadian teams will be in the playoffs, which is really fun. That's a lot of fun. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm never gonna be oh, I'm just gonna cheer for the Canadian team that's left kind of gal, because like
that either. I'm a hater.
no, I'm a hater first. Also, I think that there's like I don't care how long it takes. I want the Habs to be the one who bring it back to Canada. You know, like
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
don't care how long it takes. Just
I'm the
hey,
same way.
it's
It's
been
like
a
that's
while.
ours.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ours. Um, so oh, thank you, Les, for wanting to stick around. We really appreciate you. So Blessed Believer also says, I'm loving the new hook more and more. He needs to play
yeah,
center. He can use his great speed to get going end to end. You know what? We're going to talk about the second line, and we will include the first line there too. I know we want to mostly talk about the first line, but we'll talk about the second one as well. But first, I am going to hand you off to Andrew from the past, and he is going to tell you a little bit about Inchoo Bijoux.
We are so excited to tell you about our new partner here at Game Over Montreal, a delightfully witchy goth and glam jewelry store making handcrafted art that varies from subtle silver to gold pieces to glamorous bespoke. Inchoo Bijoux is more than just a company. They've built a community through advocacy and a welcoming attitude that has made them an institution here in Montreal. Located in the historic Chateau Saint Ambroise, Inchoo Bijoux also runs seasonal themed markets called Maleficarum Market or Marché Maleficarum en français, where artisans from all over get together and showcase and sell their wares. Drop by 4000 Rue Saint Ambroise, Suite 278, and say hi to Astrid and the Wicked team, or head to inchoobijou.com and enhance your style. The next Maleficarum Market will be on the weekend of February 8th and 9th. We'll see you there. Now, let's get back to the show, but before you do, make sure you subscribe to Game Over Montreal, Game Over Network, and smash like on this video because it really helps us out.
We're back. Sorry, I'm laughing at Mark's comment in the chat. Mark says you guys are scary. Sorry, you guys isn't the
I
Montreal
was
Canadiens.
I was gonna make a comment on that too. I was like, I hope you don't mean us. But I know who you meant.
Man, isn't it good to be a team that like people are thinking about? Uh, so that's just man. I'm just happy to be here. You know, like I'm so happy to be
Yeah, me too.
here.
It's I think we all expected to be like next year's vibe, and like just to be here already and like feel this way like about the team, and maybe we can make the playoffs. And like there's just such a like electricity right now. It's the middle of March, and like it's getting warmer out, and like suddenly we're still playing meaningful hockey. It's like I miss this a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
great.
The Bellflower misses it too, eh? Like that crowd.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
It was really funny because they're, you know, the crowd usually will not hesitate to Ole, even when they're up by one, sometimes early in the early in the game. But even this game, they waited and I was like, even I think even the crowd felt the tension, you know? I think even the crowd was like, we gotta behave ourselves.
Yeah,
No more wave
yeah.
this game.
I think it was more go Habs go than it was Ole. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of the urging them on instead of the
The
voting
taunting almost
and
of Ole.
celebrating. So
Yeah,
yeah, celebrating, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Says we are in the mix. We are in
I
the
think we're more
mix.
than in the mix now. We are the mix.
We are very
No,
much,
this
yeah,
like in the mix I think would be like a couple points out would be in the mix, but we're in a playoff spot right now. This is not in the mix. This is very much like past where we thought we'd be, I think. So
yeah,
yeah, very happy with where we are. I'm sure Ken's very happy as well.
yeah, yeah. I think this is such a valuable experience for this team, especially, you know, guys who haven't been there before. Which, sorry, just as I made that transition, I just remembered that Alex Newhook actually has won a cup. Which I should remember because he won it with the Colorado Avalanche, who I love. So I
Yeah,
should
that's your
remember that.
team.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, oh, speaking of teams who, of players who haven't won the cup or whatever. I forgot where I was going with that. My point being that there is some inexperience in this lineup. I think we forget Patrick Laine is not old. He just looks like a mountain goat.
Yeah,
But he's
he
not
does have
oh,
some playoff experience.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So like it's just
the Jets.
yeah, it's just my transition fell apart so soon. I think we can save that one for the first line. You know, we can let's table that and let's bring the not enough experience. But I think the second line has just been Alex Newhook has looked really good. I Trinka reminds me Savard has a cup too. I apparently have no memory right now. If it didn't happen in Montreal, it doesn't exist. Which like maybe that's how we should all think of things. Um, but Alex Newhook has really impressed me. I have always been an Alex Newhook like I've always been on his side. I think a lot of fans have just not felt like I don't know if it's people think he's the wrong fit or if they're holding that trade against Kent. I don't know what it is. Um, but I've really liked Alex Newhook. I think right now he's having a lot of trouble finishing. Um, but he's driving the line. I think this is the first time I've seen Alex Newhook play center, and I've been like, yeah, hell yeah, like, dude, you're doing the thing. How are you feeling about like what's your opinion on Alex Newhook at center versus on the wing?
I think I kind of prefer center. I might be in the rare group that does. I think last year, like he kind of had some moments at center where I thought it looked good. I just really like the speed and him being the guy controlling the puck, going through the neutral zone and breaking it, doing that. So
He's so
I kind of see
fast.
the center of the ice like working well for him. Yeah, I think it's just more like maybe him learning to balance his defensive and offensive responsibilities and like just reading play and everything like that that made it kind of, and obviously bouncing back and forth doesn't help. Like probably leave him at a spot if we're gonna do that. But yeah, I really like Alex Newhook at center. I think it was a really good idea. I think Beck was good when he was here, but not producing a second line guy that can help us offensively. And I think it's a smart move to bring Wah up on the wing just as a less responsible role for Wah and
Hmm.
experience.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a wise move, and I think Newhook's done a really good job and kind of proved that move right so far.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's smart.
So for um what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think I prefer Alex Newhook on in center as well. I think to me, I want to see him grow his defensive game because I think ultimately his spot is on that third line. Um, so maybe like maybe what Marty did to Josh Anderson, he can do a little bit with Newhook. I think Arden Basu and Marc-Andre Godin had a really interesting conversation on their show. I can't remember if it was on the paid show or if it was on their like free one. So I apologize if it's the one that people don't have access to, like everybody doesn't. But I'll just kind of one thing that they just had a conversation about was that this is Newey's time to show that he can be a top 6 player. Um, he's got all the opportunity in the world, and it's up to him to finish. Um, I think I still see him ultimately on the third line. How is that kind of what you're thinking as well?
I think he's just a middle six guy. Like I think that he's going to be a guy that if you're ever looking to shake things up, you might bump him up if he's playing well. And in injuries, then yeah. But most of the time, he's probably going to be on the third line. And I'm fine with that. Like
Yeah, I think he's a second liner
I
in a
think he's more of a
pinch.
secondary player. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Which you need those guys. Like you can't just have your big guys and rest on those. You need those guys. Um But speaking of your big guys, man, that first line, a little bit more. You know what? No, no, I'm not gonna say that. They weren't. they weren't bad today. I think they were a little bit more mid to good, like in the middle of mid and good, I would say. Um, but just recently in this run, they've been so important. Nick Suzuki is such a important heart and soul, and also score guy. Also power play. Also, Marty has occasionally put him on the penalty kill, but I'm really glad that that's not a regular thing. It seems like regularly that is, Jake Evans, Armia. Almost called him Jake Armia. Uh, it's Jake Armia is the pairing is on. Then it's who is it? Josh Anderson. Mike Matheson kills penalties, right? I think he does. I think he does.
Sometimes he's not a primary one, but I think
Yeah, but I
gets
think he's
in
there if he needs to be.
more without Gooley. Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
It was Gooley before. That's why.
yeah, my beloved. My heart. But that's one I'm really excited about the possibility of him being back. But the first line, I'm gonna let you just go off on this. Just first line. I know. First
Just
line.
talk about the first line.
Our boys.
I think they've been so unbelievable, and you can't talk about how great they've been. Literally one of the best lines in the league, and
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing from why you thought maybe that was more of a mid game for them.
Yeah.
Was just
It's
all
comparatively, by the way.
Yeah, totally focused on them, and Ottawa's a great defensive team, by the way, and I think they still did get their chances on them. I think Allmark's just a really good goalie sometimes.
Really good.
That's a Vezina goalie, so
Yeah.
I do think they had their chances tonight. I did a good job, but obviously maybe we were quiet in the first period, I'd say, but they came alive later, and they're still generating so many chances, and it's so encouraging from them. I think just to see them they're still a very young age. Nick's the oldest, and he's not even really
The
in
elder
his prime yet. He's just
statesman.
starting his prime. So
Yeah.
so see that they just gel so well. I think they know where each other are on the ice at time, and making so many creative passing plays and just creating so much. And Slaff's obviously driving the board play and picking up the puck behind the net and distributing so well now. I think it's hard just to focus on one of them because they all have just gelled together so well. Obviously you can say Nick is the main driver of that, and he is.
He's
But
the center. He's kind of meant to be.
Nick and Cole, yeah, but Nick and Cole can't do what they're doing without Slav wrecking things behind the line, and
Yeah.
I think that they all complement each other so well, and it's hard I don't want to mention one and have the other two go to the wayside because they're all playing so well. They're all doing things so well. So there's just no reason to split, even think about splitting this lineup, even when Demirov's here. I don't because a lot of people and I'm one of those people that I eventually you'd like to see him play with Nick Suzuki, but at the same time, unless this line starts struggling a little bit, which they might in the future, obviously lines struggle. But yeah, right now when it matters, they're clicking like crazy. So
yeah. So apparently,
I'm so happy about the line.
Apparently, I'm a big idiot baby. Still checking natural stat trick. They are still the best. Not there's some parity there because the first line is 64%, and then the third line is 63%. So then the fourth line 62, and then you have the second line at 53, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. That's fine. When the other lines are going, it's fine. So apparently I'm a big
They're
idiot
improving.
baby. Yeah, because the Corsi 4 for the first line is 16, 4, and 9 against. So that's good. They're doing what they need to do. Claire, good night. Also, nice reminder, we do have to, if you are able to, we would really appreciate a like on the stream. And to subscribe to the channel. We come to you after every Montreal Canadiens game. And check out the network. We have other Canadian teams too. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, the first line, I think I ask people this all the time, so I'm gonna ask you this too. And I'm not sure if I've asked you this last time, so apologies if what do you think about the concept of do you think there is such thing as a clutch player? Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it can't be quantified, but there's guys like that just I don't know what's his name, Williams from Carolina. I forget his first name for some I'm blanking on it, but he
Sorry?
used to score in the playoffs all the time and not be what's his name? It was something Williams. I forget. Anyway, he used to play for Carolina and he was really good in the playoffs. And like there's just certain guys that just go off when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's a clutch gene. I think the Habs are kind of scouting it specifically too. You see Nick Bobrov talking about Slav in the pre-draft video and like how he takes the bull by the horns. I
You mean
think they're
Justin
looking for
Williams, by the way?
that type of player that elevates. Justin Williams, yes.
I knew it. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure.
so I think that's something that the Habs have absolutely taken into consideration. Look at everyone they draft, and it's all guys that kind of do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Josh Anderson, we've talked about so much tonight, is one of the guys. Like you see the massive playoff goals he scored in 21, and like now he's coming back and doing that again. And like there's just a bunch of Lane Hutson is an absolute gamer. Like you look at everything he did in college, and then now he's doing here where we're at the end of the year and he's just getting better and better and better.
Mm.
I think and Fowler we drafted him. Like I could just like list all these guys and they have that trait. So I
Yeah.
think that we're definitely aiming for that type of team.
Yeah, I think you just have it's soft skills. Not to talk about it like it's a job interview, but it's a soft skill. I think the ability to perform under pressure, which is what I would categorize as clutch. Our friend Vaguely Sober points out that yes, and his name is Lekkonen. I looked up clutch in the dictionary and there was Arturi's picture. Yeah, man, Lucky just oh, what a guy.
Absolutely should have mentioned him in my spiel there, but yeah.
No, I mean it's I don't like to forget that he was a Habs, but because I mean I'm happy with where he is, but I just think it would have rocked for him to have that goal in a full building. But hey, COVID is COVID, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
that people
know.
kept it safe. Trinka points out Marie-Philippe Poulin. Yeah, of course, MPP is God, man.
The Captain Clutch.
Captain Clutch, yes. No other Captain Clutch, guys. I listen, I am the biggest Nick Suzuki glazer in the world, and I would still say he's not Captain Clutch because that is only one woman, and it is Marie-Philippe Poulin. Um, so
If Nick wins like 5 Stanley Cups with gold or game-winning goals, then maybe we could start calling it
yeah,
that. But he's
yeah,
not. Yeah,
he's not there
like
yet.
that's what makes her who she is all those. I just a little off Habs thing there, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But hey, if we're gonna choose anybody, like it should be a
yeah,
Montreal captain, you know? Well, we will let him
yeah,
we can let him start to build that reputation. He has
for
so
sure.
many overtime goals. He was so visible when they needed him to be. Nick Suzuki. I'm like heart eyes right now. Like Nick Suzuki,
I
right?
think he just has ice in his veins. Like he's just it's a different type of like performing under pressure where some people like you need the Brady Kachuk rah rah go run around like an idiot and hit everyone, but like Nick Suzuki is the I'm gonna stay fucking calm. Like nothing is to me. If you start going after my players, I'm gonna fucking nail you right to the ref like he did
Oh my
tonight.
god, the way he just completely braced himself for that hit and then went back for another one. My god, he is
People say
like
he's too small, but sorry, nope.
he's Sidney
That is
Crosby
a
small. You know what I mean? Like where he's just
yeah,
built. Like he is
yeah.
he feels
He's a
like
thick boy.
yeah, like Mark, co-host Mark Dumont, I think said something like old growth oak trees are jealous of how stable Nick Suzuki is on his feet, which like yeah, he's like
Yeah.
man, sorry. Uh
Oh, good.
I I saw some people say Slav was struggling today. Um, which also, sorry, just to go back to Cole, I can't remember how many goals he's up to, but he's very,
33?
very clearly proving
34?
the haters wrong. Like he's so such a gamer, like he's so important. But I'm gonna I'm gonna focus on Slap for a second. I have this bit I do, guys, where I pretend I don't like Cole Caulfield. It's not that. I like Cole Caulfield. I like him a lot. He's just like got little brother vibes, and I'm like a little bit like, ah, come on. Um, I like how I'm just ragging on Cole Caulfield for no reason right now. Let's talk Juraj Slafkovsky. I saw people say he was struggling to do he was struggling today, or that he wasn't good as he needed to be today. What are your thoughts on that? I'll tell you how I feel after.
I feel like anytime he has a game where he's not like, I don't know, producing like his line mates, he's suddenly struggling. I still think he's I still think he's making plays, and I think he was doing a lot. He's being very physical in that game and still setting things up. So I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't think I was very concerned about his team.
Um, so for me personally, uh, I think he didn't have it today. But we
Yeah,
can't expect him to have it every single game, right? Like that's just not a realistic expectation. And I thought he kind of matched the energy of that of his line. Where things were just a little bit messy sometimes. But they needed to Blessed Believer tells us Slav played 20 minutes. And he led the team with 5 shots, which yeah, that that rocks. I love it
I
when
was
he
gonna say I noticed some shooting too. Yeah,
I
it's
yeah,
it's one of those things where that's an encouraging sign with Slav alone. Like you're looking for differences from like before till now, and it's night and day still. Even when you're looking at a game where he's just okay, like it's still so much better.
yeah.
So I can't be very upset.
Yeah, I think as the game went on, he settled in, much like the rest of the line. I feel like he just kinda he had I think the thing is that, like, last Senators game, he just had such a good game. That was, like, I would say one
Yeah.
of the best games he had this season. Um, I I just think that, like, it was okay. I think he had a good game, is okay. We had somebody else who stepped up in the Christian Dvorak. Uh I guess Josh Anderson would be the equivalent in terms of big body, I don't know. Man, that penalty that he took, the second one, that was, like, him just being stronger than the other guy, that's the one that led to I can't remember what goal it was, I believe it was the Hamonic goal. Um,
Yeah.
and them coming back with
I know.
4 more goals after that is real, like, ball don't lie moment, like, it's just it's a you can do what you wanna do, we're gonna do our thing, which sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the next period we want to talk a little bit about what this game means, kind of check in on how we feel about the immediate future of this team, which is so good to talk about. Like I think in the past we'd always have to talk about like the medium term future of this team, long term future of this team, and now we can actually talk about like what's coming up. This really rocks. I do want to touch on something that I know we both had thoughts on. And I know we don't really want to get bogged down in the negativity, but Monte is so funny because he will make such good saves. He will fight through like bodies. He'll do anything he needs to. Uh, and then he lets in one from the point. Lets in two from the point today. Or like I'd say one from the point, another one that's like not good. How are we feeling about
Yeah.
Monty? Because for me personally, I'll tell you, uh, for for Monty, I think I'm just a little bit. I feel like he's very easy to pre-scout in terms of uh the scouting is shoot from as far away as possible. So I don't know how are we feeling about Monty?
Yeah, it's the scouting would be shoot from as far as possible and shoot all over the place because the rebounds, oh my goodness. Like that was what I like even when he was making saves early on, I was like, "Oh, the rebounds are kind of popping out." Like and I think that's kind of he's always been that way, even when he's playing really still is a little bit rebound prone, but like obviously he's a big save machine at the same time and
Mm-hmm.
he still has like so many really good moments just like in a game like that and in that moment too for him to let in that kind of goal was like I was mad like and I was trying to hold back from saying anything and like just for it to play out because like if that was the last goal of the game, like that would have been like I think there would have been a lot of hate online about Monty, which is unfortunate, especially the big save he made in the period and everything. And I think it's kind of unfair too because he's just been playing so well lately, and he's part of the reason why we're even here right now.
Hmm.
And like I don't know, he was legit one of the best goals in the league, like
Yeah.
spanning back, I
Yeah.
don't know, probably 10 games. Like so, like who am I to complain? I guess right now, but that was definitely a goal that I had some pause about, and I never want to see it again. I don't want those weird goals going in when your team is, especially that's a big part of goaltending is
Mm.
when your team just scored that massive Lane Hutson goal and everyone was on fire. The team was suddenly just we were all over them, and I literally said aloud to myself, "We're gonna score." Like we were just they had no answer to us. They're hemmed in their own end. They're on the ropes, and then they go the other way. They take a little dinky slap shot from the blue line and it goes in.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
was an
hard not to be
unfortunate one.
frustrated at. Yeah, you hope Monty can bounce back and actually like just a positive of that props to the team because that can deflate you.
Yeah.
That type of goal, I've seen it so many times where a team just that's it, like game's over, like we just fucking lost because of that goal, but no, they jump right back on it. So,
Yeah.
props to them for that. And they bailed the goalie out. So, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he's bailed them out so many times in the past.
Exactly. Exactly. I think it's a give and take. Think uh Outrage says Monty isn't playoff ready yet. I don't think this team is. And I don't mean that in a, oh, they don't belong in the playoffs. I just think as in they'll be playoff ready once they've been through the playoffs at least once. You know what I
I,
mean?
I was gonna say we'll see when we see. Like
Yeah, yeah.
this as much as these are pressure games, this isn't the playoffs yet. And like I don't know, this is one game of that too, where you got to play. So what's more important is if Monty lets a goal like that in, what's he the next game, right? Like that's the playoffs. You can't have a goalie who dwells on it. You can carry prices let in bad playoff goals sometimes, like as odd as they are, but the times that you do it, you have to be able to come back the next game, and that's goaltending. It's all mental. So
Mhm. Mhm.
we got to see how he responds. Basically,
Yeah.
I think that's
Brendan
bigger.
is a big goalie guy, so I asked him. Uh just to
Yes.
kind of check up on the chat, Frederick says it's like Monty sometimes in concentration, but he can forget mistakes easily and pull off a spectacular saves in a game where he's let in a softie. Um, Ramelli says he needs
Totally
to have his eyes checked. Shot from afar seems to not see. He doesn't seem to see the shots from afar very well. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. And I hope every goalie. I think there's always room for improvement. Um, and I hope that Monty can improve because I don't know how you feel, but I don't think Fowler is going to be ready next season. Um
agree. I don't. I'm a very anti rookie goalie in the playoffs type of guy. Like any young goalie, like it takes a while for a lot of those guys to figure it out, especially when the games start really mattering and getting high pressure like that type of stuff in your early 20s. Like, it shouldn't be expected. And one of the reasons I was a big fan of Monty signing the re-signing was now we have a guy to insulate that. So now I don't need a Dobish or a Fowler in a massive clutch game. Like I want them to like get their reps in first. And I know that like Fowler is a big game player and we know he succeeded ever he's went, but goaltending is just a different animal. And
mm,
like we've seen so many really, really, really good like not be consistent early. Like a lot of them are like you can see flashes, but it's hard to be consistent at first. So I think I'd rather have a guy who's Monty's age and who's been through a lot more and like we've talked about can bounce back from stuff like
mhm.
we'll foul like he'll we'll get to him. He'll be a good
I think
goalie, but
Fowler will get
yeah,
his
for
time.
now,
I don't think he's going to be left
yes,
behind.
for sure.
Yeah,
I'm very confident in him, but at the same time, we're not forcing anything. We're looking forward to him, but we're not asking him to do too much right away.
I would agree with that. Um, so I think next period we want to talk a little bit more about stuff and things. But first, yes. But first, I am going to tell you guys a little bit about our Patreon. So are you looking for ways to help give me for ways to help an upstart media company employing over 30 young journalists and analysts across Canada, which if you guys are trying, to support Canadian media and, Canadian, I don't know if product is the right word, but, Canadian whatever, we're all young Canadian journalists and analysts. If you have a spare few bucks kicking around, we would appreciate if you could head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/, the Game Over Network, all one word. There you'll find multiple tiers featuring different rewards and goodies for helping us grow. There's even a free tier. There's extra access, exclusive looks behind the scene, Discord benefits, merch, discounts, opportunities to give us feedback, and you can join us for our special shows live, where you can interact with the hosts as we launch more ways to improve our experience. Of course, the chat is a important part of every single show, so you guys are helpful every single show, but specialty shows. And if you're not able to spare a few dollars, which we really, again, like I said, we do have a free tier available, so you don't miss out. And other than that, there's other things that you can do for us that we'd really, really appreciate. So, for example, you can click like and subscribe on YouTube, rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, leave us a nice review. Honestly, even just the stars help. Share our work on social media. We appreciate any bit of support we can get. But if you are, like I said, if you're interested in all those things that I talked about on our Patreon, check out patreon.com/, the Game Over Network, for some fun stuff. So I am going to actually also shift us over to um our third period. And I know we wanted to talk about something, but I am blanking so hard right now. There was something that we wanted to talk about. Yes. Okay. The future. The immediate future. So we've all been scoreboard watching, let's be honest. We've completely unapologetically been scoreboard watching, really. I had to cheer for there's been several times where I had to cheer for a team that I really did not want to. Um, so it's gonna look back at some of the results from this today. The Rangers lost, which is really good. Where I believe we have 2 games on hand on them. And we did now tie them in points, I believe. The Islanders won, which
One
is
up on them.
that's a but I don't I don't see them lasting. And other than that, I think those are the 2 big ones that we saw, and the most important one was the 4-point game today. Um, how,
By the way, just correction, we're 1 point up. Sorry, on New York now.
okay,
We're
perfect.
1 point up. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, let's go. To quote Josh Anderson, let's go. To quote Cole Caulfield, let's go, girls. How, you know, when I came into the season, Brendan, I did not. My goal was pick out of the top 10. I want this team to pick somewhere between 10 and 15. Like that was my expectation. Uh and it turns out that I don't even necessarily know if they overperformed. I think they just performed beyond my expectations. And I think that like the bubble teams on in the East just struggled. I don't think anybody expected the New York Rangers to be this bad. I saw, which speaking of the Rangers, I saw a rumor. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but I saw a rumor that Matt Rempe has gotten an extension, which is LOL, LMAO, even. But I don't think anybody expected the Rangers to be this bad. I think the Sens are constantly expected to take a step. Looks like this year they did, but they were inconsistent. So I think it's been a it's been a good storm for the Habs, but they have earned this. I don't want to say that they've tripped and fallen into the spot. I don't think it's a Washington situation from last year, where they just kind of made it into the playoffs because no other team seemed to want to get there, in the East. So I don't know. I know this is a big question, but I'm gonna ask: how are you feeling, just as a fan? just about the season, what are the vibes for you personally?
I think the vibes are immaculate right now. I don't think I could have been any like for what we've done. Like I think this is, like I said, probably a little bit beyond what the goal was. I think like if we're talking about playoffs in like mid March right now, this is fantastic. And like I just think I don't know. Like you said, I guess the Rangers have to fall out, but like still we're there for that opportunity to step in too. So and
You
also
have
like
to step
it
up. Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to say it was also like if you look at it and like the level of play we've reached, the ceiling we've reached this year is so much higher. Like not even looking at points, not looking at anything like that. I think when we were struggling and it was awful, what I said was the moves in the offseason made our floor lower, but they made our ceiling way higher.
Mm.
That was my kind of cope while we were going through it. And I remember like everyone was like going at Marty and everything. And I remember saying that, and I still really believe that like what we added this year to this team, and now we've obviously our players have advanced and step and everything, but like this is a lot higher of a ceiling of a team than we had last year, and I think we're capable of more. But it was just finding that consistency, and we're still doing that. We went into the break on a terrible run, so like, it's still like it was there not all that long ago, but still like as we progress throughout like maybe the middle to like next year and everything, I think the goal is just closing that gap and having less and less of those awful moments and those games when we're really down and everything. Like we can't be this emotional. We have to be able to just play healed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a really, really promising team. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
Yeah, I'm seeing some discussion in the chat where Adam reminds us we might still get pick between 11 and 15 thanks to Monahan trade. Yeah, that would rock. Romelli says my
Yeah.
expectation was pick between 8 and 12. And Adam kind of adds that my expectation was best non-playoff team in the division. And I think that's fair. Um, Romelli does remind us the Islanders are only 3 points from us right now. Next game is just as important as tonight's game. I think that's true for every single game going forward. I know it's a lot to ask to have them maintain the same level of try hard, but you just have to. Listen, you've dug yourself into this hole where every single game counts now. You have to do the work. And if there's one thing I don't doubt about this team, it's their ability to try. I don't think that this team is lacking in try hard. And I think it truly comes from these guys just, I mean, obviously everybody wants to win, so there's that. But I do think that there's a culture in this team that's being cultivated. Um, that's not just about excellence, not just about winning, not just a real respect for what this team is, like in terms of just the organization, the franchise, um, but also for each other. Um, I think we all make the joke about the power of friendship, and it's true. I think this is a really close knit group. You had Nick Suzuki essentially just being like, "Point cues, please don't trade my friends." And then Kent was like, "Yeah, but you have to do this." And then Nick did. Nick stepped up. He did what he needed to because he loves his friends. Which I love his friends too. So I think that there's something really special about this team. It feels so good. I think we kind of earned a team that really likes each other after some of the periods of teams, some iterations of this team that we saw at some points, when they were actually good.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's such a joy to watch. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm trying my best to like I had like a really negative reaction to that Seattle game. I'm not sure how you felt. I think it was genuinely just a mix of me like being cranky, frankly, because it was the second game in a row where we'd been up for far too long. Um, and I don't know, like the overtime always stinks. Um, but it makes sense. It was the second half of back to back. I think in the moment I personally, I don't know how you were, but I personally was a little harsher on them than maybe they deserved. Um, but what matters is they came back. Uh, my opinion of them matters to me and matters to my friends and the lovely people in our chat, but ultimately it's their opinion of themselves and them being able to take a step back and go, that wasn't good enough. Which I like. I like that this team really does seem to um I think Jake Evans is really good about that in post games. He very often gets pulled for post games, and he's very honest in his post games. He will he'll say it when he feels like they didn't give a shit. And Nick's a little bit more stoic, but I think if you've seen enough of Nick interviews and heard Nick talk enough, you can tell when he's actually pissed. And I think his guys can tell when he's pissed. Um I think it's a really, people made fun of us, made fun of the organization and made fun of people who believe in the concept of a winning culture. Um, but they're human. Of course, a winning culture matters. Like, why would it not matter? They're people. A culture matters. Like, in your job, a culture matters. Why wouldn't it matter for a team? So I think this is where we're starting to see the cultivation of the culture paying off. Um, I like this team. I like this team, I like them a lot.
It's also the mix of like culture and talent at the same
Of
time that
course, you
we're
need both.
finally
Yes,
getting.
yes,
Like
yes, of course.
we've had teams in the past that had great vibes and like had all the heart and everything, and I think Montreal's always been really good for heart and soul stuff. But like obviously the big thing from like every fan has been dying to see more offensive talent and firepower on this team, and finally we get that, and we didn't sacrifice the heart and soul part of it as well.
Mhm,
And like you said, just we also added like culture where we were very behind
mhm.
on in some aspects of our organization, and I think this new regime has really like prioritized just getting every advantage they can, whether it's nutrition or like mental health, any like any aspect of that they can cover, they're doing it, which is what you should be doing. One of the richest teams in the league. Like
Spend that
use
money.
everything at your disposal. Yes, exactly. And all that stuff matters. All that goes into it. Like, and if you're not like, putting money and time into things like that, then it's, you're going to be missing out in certain areas. So
Yeah.
like obviously like this, it's from the top down. This whole think that give a shit has just been there since the start of this new regime. So
Mhm, mhm. I um, sometimes though, I think I feel bad for David Savard, in a way, because I genuinely think he's one of the guys who gives a shit really hard on this team. I think he wants it so bad for this team. I also think he just doesn't have the legs to play anymore.
yeah,
Um, I again love him. By the way, he played with the last game was the Pride game, and he played with the Pride tape on his stick like mid game, and that was really cool to see. Um, Especially from like an older guy. I really like David Savard. I just really worry about that third pairing going into the playoffs. Um, how are you feeling? I will let you talk about that, but first, I'm just going to remind everybody, if you haven't liked the video, we'd really appreciate that. And importantly, we are going to go into the overtime period of our podcast very soon. And we'd love to have your questions, whether they're about, you can ask Brendan about the Habscast, and you can ask us about anything. I mean, not anything, but like be normal. Um,
yeah,
and
sure. Ask me
hockey.
about
Ask no, ask
yeah.
about ask questions. So, um, anyways, how are you feeling about this third pairing going into the next step?
Going everything. I don't know. It makes me curious if Savard's the one who draws out like if we do get Kagan Gooley back, who's skating now and looking like he might be in for an
Let's
earlier
go,
pairing.
Ghoulie Nation. Let's
But
go.
so I just it's hard because like you said, like everything about David Savard is just like such a great person. Like you can just tell he's a warm person, and I think like everyone in the locker room gravitates towards him and loves him, and like he's Papa. Like it really is the
Papa
father
Savard, yeah.
figure of that.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of young guys and then him, so I think you really get that vibe, like the very caring person who's like, the gentle leader of the group. And it's hard to just say that that should be off the ice. And
Mhm.
like the way he blocks shots and everything, he's the guy who's always out when there's 2 minutes left in the game in an empty net and we're defending our own zone, and he's lying on top of pucks like he did earlier in the year while he's getting
One of my
jabbed by like
favorite
10
moments.
sticks.
Kucherov hated him
Oh,
so
that
much,
big
and
cat
any man
race,
who pisses off Kucherov that much, my beloved.
that just art is and like how much he cares. Like he would take a stick to the groin, the face, whatever. He doesn't care. But he's a win at all cost guy. And it's hard to say this about him, but the wheels are coming off. Like it really is showing. Like there was like obviously that one the goal that went in was like him not stepping up fast enough, taking away the shot. It could have been Arbor too. One of them should have, but they both
They miss
hesitated.
Caden Goulet's stick so much. He's
Yeah.
one of the guys on
And
this team who was the best with an active stick. I mean, he wouldn't be in the third pairing anyways, but you know what I mean. Just this team in general,
yeah,
I
and there was
think.
also a play where we had Ottawa hemmed in as well, and the puck was kind of just laying there right in front of Savard, and he'd like really hesitated. He didn't back off, he didn't jump in, but then he pulled away like at the end, and I really thought he should have jumped up and kept the play going. And it's
Mm.
just stuff like that where it's slow, like it's really slowing down, and it's like that pairing has been really our Achilles heel for this little stretch run we've been on. I think that they've been one of the few negative spots, and
Mm.
it's hard to stay positive about it because I'm worried when they're on the ice. It's
Yeah.
tough, and I don't want to be. I love both players, so it's hard to feel.
Yeah, I think it's also I feel bad for Arbor as well because I think he was like steadily improving. And I think this has been really not good for him. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. It's a really, like you said, it's really hard to say because he just seems like such a Livermore says Savard will be okay in the playoffs because you're allowed to hold, hook, and cross check. The Jay Weber special, the cross check at least. Trinka points
the
out that
pen
he,
draw.
yeah, uh, uh, absolute spine crushing pairing there. Am I right? The Sherratt and
Austin
Web.
Matthews.
Oh my god, I bet his spine still feels it. Um, but Les Believer says Savard is made for the playoffs. Shrameli points out that he lost a skate blade and broke his hand and kept blocking shots. Um, yeah, man, he's just I think it'd be really, really hard to take out a guy like Jaden Struble from the lineup in place of, and keep David Savard in when, and I am manifesting, so I'm gonna say when Kane Goulet comes back. Um, but I also think that like Marty does really care about the left and right thing. Um, so I don't know. I'm interested in seeing how it goes. It was just a little frustrating to see them today. Um, it's hard to be too down on anybody today, honestly. Um,
Yeah,
but that's a pairing that I
I
keep
just
my
want
eye
to
on.
say, like this team since they started forming this version of the team is really, really valued being fast and breaking out of their end. And Savard doesn't do that. And maybe, like you're saying, he's the playoff type, the Sherratt type, and everything. But I don't think that's the way we play anymore.
Mhm.
I think we like guys that kind of stand around our own net and clear the net. Is like that is a big thing and a big deal in the playoffs, no doubt. But I think we're trying to be like a breakout, get in the transition, go the other way, get our forwards involved. Like, and they've drafted that way. Everyone they've got has been a really good transition type player. So
I'm really excited to see
savvy,
Reinbacher in that
and
kind of role. I'm
yes,
really
that
excited to
is
see what he can
Reinbacher's
do.
bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna
Yeah,
be
so
really fun.
savvy and Arbor are both bad at that. Like, and like you're saying, this is unfair to Arbor, but like because stuck with someone else who can't do that, they both forth trying to flip the puck out of the zone. They can't do it, and they just get hemmed in their own end. It's like so hard to watch.
It's hard.
And yeah, I remember Hattie was pointing that out too. I think they had like there's one time I swear they had like five turnovers in the end, and we're trying to make one pass and couldn't do it. And like as much as the blocking and stuff is playoffs, it's also important to get the puck out of your own end, and I just don't think they can do that.
Mhm.
So my priority would be to try to get that shirt up
Mhm.
before I worry about block shots.
Yeah, I think that's a you live with that for now, for this year at least. But David Seward's contract is up anyways, which Adam points out that I hope when Seward retires, they bring him back in a player development role like they did for Byron, but on D. I
Really.
think it'd be really good to have David Seward around. Um, these guys clearly like him a lot. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's valuable to have a guy like that around. So I would love to keep him on the team. Um, I so I'm gonna we're gonna start taking questions because I do have to let Brendan go eventually. Which is exactly how the last time he was a guest slash hostage on the show went. I kept being like, oh, I gotta let him go, and then I didn't. But first, I am gonna let you hear from past Andrew about one of our lovely sponsors, Le Saint Motel. And he is coming to you
Looking to
now.
make awesome memories with your friends? Take some promotional pictures or videos for your business? Check out Le Saint Motel in Montreal's Sud-West borough. It's an amazing selfie studio located in Montreal's historic Chateau Saint-Ambroise, right next to Inchoo Bijoux. It boasts 12 plus unique decors for you to enjoy and make memories with. Hop into their iconic heart-shaped ball pit or transport yourself back in time to Expo 67. Le Saint Motel can also come to you with mobile decor setups available to rent for events, including setup and takedown, or you can head to lesaintmotel.com right now for more details, or to check out their amazing decors that are always being updated. Now, let's get back to the show, but before you do, make sure you subscribe to Game Over Montreal, Game Over Network, and smash like on this video because it really helps us out.
Okay, we are back. We're not unmuted, as I said. Uh, I'm seeing great question in the chat, but first, Adam Glingen, hello, welcome. Zach asks, going full drinking the Kool-Aid mode, which Hab wins the Conn Smythe?
I would go with Suzuki right now, but it could also be Lane Hutson.
I was gonna say it would. I feel like it would either be Nick Suzuki or Lane Hutson, but I think ultimately, Nick's just got that dog in him, man. Like I think it's just,
Yeah.
uh, it's hard to argue with that. Um, I'm gonna look back at some of the questions that I'm gonna see if there's any questions in the chat. Um, but I'm gonna let you ponder on a question while we're here. Why do all the other rookies in the NHL suck, and why is Lane Hutson the only good one? Go.
Well, Lane Hutson's the only good one because we drafted him and he's a Hab, so that automatically means that he's the best. I don't know. He's just like just I'm speechless with how good he is, especially as a defenseman. Off as soon as he did, and like we kind of expected to hit that wall, and like he did for a little bit, and he's like, okay, that was a nice little 5 to 10 games. I'm back, and then suddenly just was better.
Mhm.
So I don't think I've ever seen a Habs feat in my lifetime look like this immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I will again. Maybe Demidov does, but like it's still asking a lot of Demidov to like look this good immediately. This is amazing.
Mhm.
And I don't think in a lot of other years it would even be a discussion, but like obviously the Dustin Wolf thing makes it like tougher because it's comparing apples to oranges.
Mhm. Mhm.
Suddenly bully in there, but I still think with the way Lane's playing, it's his to win. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no other good.
I agree. There are literally no other rookies. There's no other rookies. Yeah, that's right. There's no other rookies either. That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone else is cheating somehow, some way. Um, I also see someone. I'm just going back a little bit. How do you feel about Wah?
Ooh, that one was like kind of, I feel controversial. For me. I think I liked him a bit more tonight. I think he was better, but still catching up to game speed. I know I was listening to Frankie Corrado before the game. Actually, he was on 690,
Who rocks, by
and
the
he
way.
was
Love
saying
him.
that yeah, I love Frankie, and he was saying that like it was a really good point that this is like the fastest game Joshua Waz ever played. Like he's jumping into the deep end early with like now he's playing with the Habs, who he pointed out that he talked around the league and asked what other teams thought of the Habs, and everyone said, "Oh, they're so fast. The way they move the puck is so fast. They're a lot faster than other teams." So like for him to jump in right away on that, and he's right on the second line, like I think that's a tough ask, and I think there needs to be some patience there. But I slowly coming around, and it's like you have to watch closely, and he's making some better, not fully clicking yet.
Mhm.
I still think he needs to catch up, basically. And I'll give him a chance to do that, but I do think he's still a pretty good, smart player, and he's making. I thought he made some good reads and good passes tonight. So that
I
was my
think
read on it. Not overly impressive, but yeah,
I think the criticism on one of the big ones has always been his speed, so that makes sense. Um, for me, I'm at the point where I think he's improving every single game, which is really promising. Um, I am also of the opinion of there's two thoughts here. The first being how long can we wait? Just right now, not in general, not how long can we wait on him to figure it out. I'm not giving up on him. I just mean in general right now. My second question is if we can't, who else is the option? Like it's either Beck or him. Um, I don't think Marty's keen on breaking up the bottom like six at all. It's not like you can get one of the what do you call them, like depth players, I guess, is what I mean to say. Those
yeah,
the players who are ready, I think right now, more of them are depth players than not. And I don't think Marty wants to break up those lines, which fair enough, man. Like the results speak for themselves, right? Um, but I don't know. I think that he's not harming the team. And sometimes for a guy who's still trying to get his feet under him, the best you can ask for. Um, I just think as soon as I start seeing any amount of um effort flagging from him, I lose my patience. Uh which is fair or not fair, I don't know. Um I just I think he's trying a lot. I think there's a lot of effort right now, which is always going to keep the guy on my good side. That's kind of my
yeah,
thoughts on it.
yeah. He's one of those more lackadaisical players, even when he's playing well. Like he's not Patty Line, but like the same way where it's like it's if he's playing well, like it still sometimes doesn't look that good. But it's very lackadaisical, but still he's a very smart and fast processor, and I think that's his
Matters a
skill.
lot.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, being able to see the ice properly. And I think that like it's like a kind of Tyler Toffoli type thing where it's like he can see the ice so well that he doesn't need to be quick on his feet because he's moving the puck so fast and making all the reads. I
Mhm.
think maybe one of the reasons why Beck, other than maybe a little bit more offensive upside, I think, but just I think he is a bit more responsible with the puck and his reads. I don't think you're seeing
Like
any
defensively, you
like
think,
glaring
maybe?
turnovers or anything. Yeah, not quite like even defensively, just like making the right reads and not turning the puck over too much. I
I see.
think
I see.
like you're not seeing anything egregious, right? Not that Beck is doing any of that, but I think Beck's maybe more aggressive, and that makes him maybe he might make mistakes more than Wildwood. But and I think my main point would be that Newhook's playing center, and I think we want that. I
Mhm.
think like we talked about earlier, like we liking that. And I think he's looked good despite the results from that line so far. But I think you should give it a little bit of time
Yeah.
to gel. But
I don't think
yeah,
you
it's
have
it's
many
one of those things that
options.
yeah, I was gonna say it's one of those things that you just got to let it ride and hope it works.
Hmm.
I'm seeing signs of good things, but I don't think it's there yet. I don't know if it'll ever be there, but
Mhm.
we're trying.
Yeah. All the signs are there. We have a question from Adam, who asks, "Does the team re-sign Armia or let him walk to make room for one of the kids?" What are your thoughts?
That it's interesting, and it goes more into what we do in the off season, and we're going to be active, so the team is going to look a little bit different. And I think you don't want to ever force the kids up too fast. And I think we've learned from that mistake in the past, and we're keeping a lot of Laval where they should be. But there's guys that are knocking right on the door. I think Jack Eye has looked awesome this year. Florian,
Florian.
that is not Trevor. He's really standing out, and I think that at some point, maybe next year, he'll start getting a chance.
I think I'll get a
But
taste.
I'm
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm learning
he's not
not
gonna.
to
I don't think he's great.
underestimate the Jack Eye boys. Like
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good bet to bet against them. So
yeah, it's interesting. Just going back to the Armia thing, I think it's
yeah.
interesting. It's a topic definitely that we should discuss, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not priority, and it's one of those things that you're gonna see. Maybe if they have a hole to fill in the off season, that they get that done.
Mhm.
But we're gonna see how active they are first, whether that spot's gonna be filled anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It's all gonna depend on other things. I just think it's not priority.
I don't think it's a priority. I also think that he's gonna have to take a pay cut, obviously. And um again, Bassoon Good Notebook, something that they pointed out was it's very rare that guys will take a pay cut and stay on the same team. Um, but hey, who knows? It does seem like he really wants to stay. If you've seen any of his media availabilities where he's asked, um, he seems frankly offended that somebody sees upset that they asked, which, like, fair enough, man. Like, it's a good sign almost of the culture of the team. I think it means that there's something. Zach Payne says, let Armia walk and take Max Zomi back. You can have him for free. No, absolutely not. I am not taking Max Domi back. And I've seen your tweets about him. I've seen and more than that, I've seen with my own two eyes what what he does on the ice. So I'm good. How do you No, I'm not even asking that question.
I'd say what goals does he have? Question. I think he's gone on a hot streak lately, which maybe means he scored 2 more goals, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of his anymore, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah. Man, this is exciting. I love this team a lot. Uh and there's a lot to look forward to. I think it'd be really, really cool for them to make the playoffs, even if they lose in the first round. Zach tells us 6 goals, he's fixed. Uh, uh, well, if I wanted 6 goals, I would take what Josh Anderson. Uh, no, I would rather take Josh Anderson, unironically, anytime, any day.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Uh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I was just saying I'm really excited for this team. I hope that they can do this. I think it'd be really good for them. Um, I also think that if they can't and if they lose in the last minute, they're gonna come back really hungry, which is gonna, that with the Demidov and you know, uh preferably some other right-hand defenseman who isn't just Alexander Carrier, as beautiful and sparkling as his eyes are. He cannot distract the other team. That is not how that works. If that's how it worked, you know, I was gonna say if that's how it worked, Roman Yossi would just like be the best ever, but also he is very good. So maybe it's how it works. I don't know. Alexander
Yeah,
Carrier,
okay.
yeah, talk to your old captain. Talk to your old captain, see if it works for him. Okay, so I think we're going to sign off, but before we do, Brendan, would you just like to remind everybody where they can find you? Just for reference, I will put all of his information in the description box, but for those who are listening.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky at Bremidov for both of them, and that's Bren, like my name, and then Midov, like Demidov. And also I have account for my podcast, which is on Spotify, which is the Habscast. So, and that's the name of both the Blue Sky and the Twitter. So I'll not be calling it X, and I will say that every time. So that's
Yeah.
where you can find me. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me on, by the way.
Of course, of course. I love having Brendan on. Again, so sad that we couldn't have the Game Over Ottawa guest because I would be having fun right now. Uh, but we're having fun
Yeah.
too. I think it would just be a different kind of fun. So I am going to sign off. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Once again, I really appreciate if you could just like, share, and subscribe. If you are listening to this later on the podcast, if you can rate us, that'd be great. And yeah, we are gonna be back after the next game. I believe that I can't remember who it is. I know that
New York Islanders.
Yes, the New York Islanders, but I'm I'm trying to check
Oh,
who.
you're talking about yours. Sorry, my.
No, no, no. I'm glad that you added that too, because I wasn't gonna remember that either. Um, so
We
that's
play
gonna
the
be
Avs. Are
Mark.
you on that one?
I am on for the Avs, yes. That's gonna be a interesting one. Okay, so I am going to usher us great vibes, great time, and boo Ottawa Senators. Boo!